Kingwhale is a leading developer of performance fabric and garments for the apparel industry. Their focus is global outdoor active and athletic leisure brands. The company says it has sustainability built into its DNA, applying, it says, the highest standards of durability, flexibility, and performance into its products. I sat down with James Hwang, president of Kingwhale, here at COP28 in Dubai. This is a huge conference this year, much bigger than previous years. What was the appeal for you, for Kingwhale, to come here and do this work with us and to join in at COP28?
Well, there are lots of things that Kingwhale is doing in the sustainable world. We do a lot of things. I think it's very appealing for me to come here to exchange ideas, to learn what's happening, and be able to see what the future is going to be like, and hopefully take that into our practice within the company.
Are you encouraged by how international it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's good because we're international located and definitely have a very good presence to see what's going on internationally.
Okay, let's take this to the studio and talk in a bit more detail.
Sure.
James, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Very good to see you. Thank you.
Okay, we're here to talk about sustainability, of course, at COP28, and we're here to talk about the textile industry. How do you think those two parts of the modern economy intersect at the moment?
Sure, the sustainability development goals, I think, sets a standard goal for what the world really should like. I think it involves in a lot of sustainability ideas and goals, which I think it definitely fits into textile industries. I think environmental impact, human equality, how can you leave all the poverty, labor issues, labor equality. I think those are the very basic practice that the textile industries have been operating and make the world a better world.
What about Kingwhale in particular? How far down the line are you in putting in these practices into your operation?
Well, since the initiation of building Kingwhale was set up, the sustainable concept has always been in the mind. Where we built first of all, when you build the facility, you always thought about lessen the environmental impact. As normally, public will realize that the textile industry seems to be a very polluted industry. We try to change that mindset and try to build it with a cleaner concept, very sustainable, not in the process itself, but also the community around. We want to make sure that we offer a very clean and sustainable practice that we offer.
It's interesting you talk about community, because presumably then the people who work with you at Kingwhale as well, you have an ethos that you share within the company? People feel that they're participating in something sustainable?
Yeah, I think the sustainable practice has really been a DNA of the company right now. For Kingwhale, the sustainability is not a niche thing to do right now. It becomes a norm because we believe that is what you really have to do in terms of the sustainability thing. So inside the factories, not only the laborers, everyone is involved, but also the surrounding environment, I think, is also ultra important. So we do not pollute the area, we do not create air pollutions, water pollutions, or noise. I think we try to harmonize the whole community around, not only inside the factory though.
Give me an idea about your company itself, Kingwhale, what you do, where you produce, how you relate to the other international markets.
So Kingwhale, primarily we're in the performance market. We service the outdoor, the active, the athleisure market, where performance meets fashion. It's really what's going on right now. So people want to look good, but they want to feel good. I think it's very important that the product itself feels good. So Kingwhale has always been in the upfront, not being shy to invest into the most innovative, advanced technologies.
And are you simply in the material business, or do you actually produce and design the clothing also?
We do from raw materials and to the end of the fabric, and we also have a garment operation. So pretty much from designing the fabric and manufacturing the garment clothing. We also offer some designs. As we talk about sustainability, it really starts from the raw material it work with, and the whole process, the whole end of the product. We have to think about end of life of the product has to be sustainable.
So you're hoping that your partners and the participants in your supply chain will share the same goals as you do in terms of production and supply. What other technologies do you think are important now to a modern textile industry to keep the sustainability ethos going?
I think you have to look at a couple of different aspects of it. I think from a system standpoint is how can you operate it more sustainable from the process itself. I think that's most important, that we start to look at the input, the processing procedure, and the output. This is probably the three main aspects that we look at it. What feeds into it has to be sustainable, and then look at what will actually create.
And I understand there's more digitization now in the process?
Sure, the smart manufacturing is also very important, and well, what's it? Fortunately, there's a lot of tools out there, and unfortunately, if you look at the financials, how do you really look after? You balance that. You want to invest into it, but be very, very smart with your investment. Though I think the digitalization is very important to help in efficient all the process. I think there's a lot of things to be managed from inventory, from materials, especially your process. We're investing into like PLM systems. We hope to have a standardized process that we use, because Kingwhale is have global operations. We're based in Taiwan, but we have plans to have global sites that we want to operate. We hope to have a standardized through the smart manufacturing process, so we can apply that wherever we have to go. We can just leverage what we have. It's basically like a brain in Taiwan, but then you can always have various production wherever you have to go. Depends on the supply chain management.
One of the things we're hearing a lot about at COP talks in general, but at COP28 specifically, is talk about innovation, and also quite a lot of talk about the circular economy in terms of, you mentioned end of life, and that made me think of this issue of the circular economy. Kingwhale presumably aspires to both of those.
Yeah, I think the circularity, the circular economy has become more and more attention because there's the fashion industries. I mean, by nature, by itself, people wants to look good. I think that really creates. In a good side is people look good, but on the dark side of it, when you create a lot of end-of-life products, how do you actually treat with so-called the post-consumer products? So I think there's a consumer behavior that we have to look at. How do you educate it, the consumers? How do we actually build a reliable product to sustain the life of the products? But still, at the end of the life, what can you do with it? So Kingwhale has invested in a technology called Revio, which we are taking post-consumer, post-industrial products, take it back, and through a fully chemical process and make it into a new material. So that full process has resolved several issues. We are eliminating or minimizing the usage of petrochemicals, because polyester, nylon, we're using mostly synthetic fiber, which comes from petrochemicals. By doing a circular system, we are actually reducing the usage of petrochemicals. I think there's less impact to the environment. And a life of the product normally is being incinerated or being thrown into the landfill. Now, if we could take back all these products and turn it into a new materials, you actually are solving some environmental impact, less incineration, less carbon footprint, and put it back in life. So we're looking at closed loop circularity systems that, the garments will always be returned. One day I'll be saying that, hey, this is your garment is wearing, it actually comes from my shirt. I think if that could be, I think that would be the goal that we're trying to create. And with the new technology like this, it doesn't affect the performance, it doesn't affect all the aesthetics that you're looking at.
Let's talk about the consumer a bit. I mean, I can't think of another part of the sector that has such a close relation with the consumer in terms of who leads who and who wants and who supplies. How do you expect consumer habits to change, do you think, over the next few decades?
Well, again, consumer has more awareness of transparency and their purchasing behaviors. The e-commerce, the digitalization of consumption thing has changed the world on how people buy. Normally, like Christmas time, you go out to the stores and trying to pick up some store in the store in the brick and mortar stores. But now with your app on your phone, with the computer, is easily. So right now, the consumer behavior in consuming products has really changed. I think that's something we're looking at, is how can we design something that meets that behavior in change. For instance, what we're doing is making a digital platform of products. We actually digitalize the whole concept and post it on e-commerce. So when the consumer sees it, they actually can place their orders. And that product may not have been created, but the technology right now, they can really to mimic how the fabric drapes, how it looks, and create like a so-called an avatar in the place. I think AI has been developed that you're able to create a product, have a real person wear on it, it looks like it's real.
You know, all the things we've been discussing now in our conversation here, they represent some real challenges for any sector, including the textile sector. Are you confident that you can place Kingwhale in that space where it intersects finally with the sustainability goals that people are embracing now and the requirements of supplying clothing to the general public and consumers?
Sure, I believe the textile industries are transforming themselves. I mean, there's a lot of awareness in the industries right now talking about sustainable. I think from the product itself, Kingwhale has been very into product development. I think the innovation part of it, from raw materials, how can we be more less dependent on petrochemical? How can we more efficiently utilize the petrochemical-based products? It's going to be difficult that in the long term that things like that is going to go away. It's just finding the right alternative, have a very good balance of what you're actually using. So those are the technologies that we're investing in. You know, the circularity you've been talking about, I think is ultra important. Again, that technology exists. I think there's always continuous improvement. Just like way back when bottles were taken to recycle into textiles, there was a premium for paying that right now. But right now, that cost compared to virgin polyester has gone pretty less gap on in that regard. So it takes some time, I think, if the brands, if the consumers in the industry all embrace and jump into this concept. I think it's just a matter of time that cost will be financial, meaningful for all the stakeholders involved. So that's something we continue to look at it, not only the product itself, the ecosystem, the supply chain. I think all the stakeholders involved. Kingwhale is trying to lead in industries, and that's what we have been doing.
James, absolute pleasure. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy.